Hi guys, today we're going to talk about a very common quote and what exactly it means. I'm going to break it down a little bit differently. That quote is, God is man afraid. God is man afraid. Now let me explain what exactly all that means. Be very helpful to you guys, yes? Okay, God is man afraid. Well, let's describe first the human condition. Okay? The human condition is one that runs on autopilot. Listen very closely. It runs on autopilot. It's universal to all, and there are 5 things you are protecting from. Now, thanks to the work of Lise Bourbeau, we know about the 5 wounds of Christ. Those wounds we know are betrayal, abandonment, rejection, injustice, humiliation. Okay? These wounds that you're worried about, there's fear. Because anyone who's experienced any of these 5 very painful human condition things knows how much it hurts to be rejected, to be abandoned, to be betrayed, to have any kind of injustice, and any kind of humiliation. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of those are the human condition. And the fear, listen closely, the fear that we have in an attempt to avoid feeling these things again powers the human condition. This is what makes you man afraid, not God. Your true nature cannot be, because you're too afraid of the human condition. So now that fear is like, that fear controls you in the same way a kite is held up in the air like a wind tunnel. That kite cannot fly of its own free will. It needs the wind tunnel. Okay? So does your human costume need your fear to keep you small and away from your actual true identity. God is man afraid. That means that if you fear those 5 things, that's what makes you human. Yes. However, it is also what is causing pain, suffering, all of the resistance that you have, every type of person that you fall for that's not right for you, the abusers, all of this. That's not God's nature. That is a human afraid of its own condition. That which is all universal, because that's what Christ experienced. Christ has 5 wounds, and they're metaphorical. More so than the actual story, they're metaphorical. They represent the things you're afraid to face in yourself. And so as long as you're afraid of those things, I'm afraid this person is going to leave me. I'm afraid this person's going to treat me bad. I'm afraid this, that, and the third. Okay, well, that fear is what fuels your suffering. It puts you in survival mode and drops you down. That's what that means. So, how do you obtain your freedom? Because that's way more important than, first step is realizing what's happening. The second step is, okay, cool, Sin, how do I get free? You got to stop being afraid of those things. You got to be willing to look at those things. See, those things have powered your unconscious behavior. Thanks to that unconscious behavior, that is determining what everybody does in your world. So the key here is to figure out what you did when you were afraid. Make notes of that. Make notes of every single time you silenced your voice because you were afraid to lose someone. That is fearful behavior. That's not love. It's not your true nature. How many times were you afraid when you were left alone and now you have a needy vibe that is repelling people? Okay? You must become aware of what's causing your world to appear as limited. You are unlimited. The only way we discover this lack of limitation would be not to be afraid, to ditch the fear. All of your limitations, the human condition, that which I teach my mastermind to remove, is based on the fear and the unconscious habits you have in an attempt to protect yourself from fear. Fear of loss, fear of relationship, fear of money. Any of these things are not God. That's you. And so that's what created your human costume, and that's what's creating all of your human experiences. And again, the most important part here, it's not about the cards that were dealt to you. The cards that are dealt to you are universal to everybody, yes? Everybody has the same thing happen to them. That's not what matters. What matters is how you play your cards. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to stop being afraid? Are you going to realize you're the constant? Are you going to become aware that your state is the only thing determining what other people do to you? Are you going to take responsibility for that? Are you going to ditch the fear and face it? Because that's what it takes to realize you're God. That's what it takes to find your true identity. You got to stop being afraid. Your actions cannot be one of which are in fear. When you're in fear, that which you think is possible is very limited. Very limited. So how do you find God? Ditch the fear. Ditch the fear. Understand what you're protecting from. Understand that these 5 things are going to happen with or without your consent, because that's what we agreed to. That's Christ's costume. We're all wearing it. We're all wearing the same thing. We are all the many members of the one body. And all of us have the same experiences. Okay? All right, you guys. I am burning up. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Please understand this. Your freedom, your liberation. Okay, hang on one second. These lights make me hot. Sorry. All right. Your freedom, your liberation is dependent upon the fact that you're not afraid, that you understand the design. That's what matters. If you stop fearing this, you will discover your true nature. And your true nature is the entire universe at once. That is who you are. When you're not afraid, the equation leaves only God, because that's what everyone is. And the only way you prove it is through actions, through how you are being, through what you do with the cards that are dealt to you. How do you play your hand? Because how you play your hand is your gold. That's the most important part of the equation. Okay? All right. I'm going to leave that. Make a different video on fear of mistakes. But I'll say this. What you will learn quickly once you ditch your fear of mistakes is that that's your gold. That's your gold. You could be paid for the experiences that you have based on the mistakes that you've made, because they're not mistakes. They're valuable information that saves other people time, because you identified something that is universal to all and you taught someone how to undo it. That is gold. Gold. Pure solid gold, you guys. Sorry, one second. So I'm doing two things at once. All right. So with that understanding, okay, with that understanding, if it's pure gold, your experience, and you're afraid to make mistakes, and you're letting those mistakes dictate how you behave, then you're still not being God, are you? It's the human condition. So you want to find your true nature? Please work on ditching your fear. It's the only way. And now that you know what you're afraid of, because I just did you a huge favor. I just told you what everybody in the world is afraid of. Because I just told you what is universal to everybody. And if you can realize that's what it is, you can ditch your fear. I really, I don't have that. I don't have that. And that's why I'm free. Do you understand? That's why I'm free regardless of what happens. So I just told you who the boogeyman was? And now that you see it's really nothing? And that you don't have to repeat history? If you understand who the boogeyman is, then you can dive in. Then you can dive in and address the things that have been causing the lack, the limitations. You can address it because you understand what's on display. For example, today I had a great conversation with someone who is a salesperson because she's an entrepreneur. And she realized something. She said, oh my God, I hate salespeople. I didn't realize I have this idea of salespeople. Okay? God bless her. That was a breakthrough. Do you know why? Because if she's wondering, if she's got this thing about salespeople and she unconsciously detaches from that, do you know what happens? When she steps into the role of a salesperson, all of the objections and all of the ways in which she behaved towards salespeople are exactly what she's going to receive. And the only way to stop the trajectory is to figure out how you are making that. And if you realize, holy fudgesicles, my preconceived notion of salespeople is causing all of this dissension to fall onto my business because I have not mastered myself, and then I'm still judging that because I was missing that. Then what happens is the natural forces of the universe will show up to show you inside your head. Shows you inside your head. And if you're not willing to look at that and understand that, what are you going to do? You might shoot the messenger. You might get upset with the people that don't trust you, when all that they're doing is showing you how much you don't trust yourself and doing you a favor. Again, source perspective is freedom and liberation from suffering and misunderstanding. Source perspective is absolute freedom while you're alive, because fear doesn't have you in its hooks and is dragging you, dictating your behavior. Because in fear, your thoughts are thinking you. You're not free. You're not free. No. You're not free. Do you know why you're not free? You're limited. You're probably stuck with one income, wondering how to get another one. You're probably have an okay and comfortable life because that's where you've set the thermostat, but can't figure out how to push past that. Why? Because you're not behaving like God. Someone who's afraid is behaving like a human in limitation. And until you learn to take off that costume, completely unashamed, and no longer wear fear, you'll not discover your power as something that's unlimited and that can push past comfort zones. So that's why the rich say, get comfortable getting uncomfortable. That's why the people say, look, ditch your fear of making a mistake. Do it anyway. That's the only way you will push past these barriers. So if you want to find yourself as God, it's quite simple. Ditch your fear of these 5 things. That's it. That's the greatest thing on earth. And people have not understood its value. And I feel so sorry for you all that some of you just read the book and gloss over it and haven't understood that the only thing preventing you from realizing your God is that book, is your understanding and your application of that book. And yet, some of you read the book and go, it's too much work. I don't want to do it. Oh, this is heavy stuff. If someone told me this is the only thing preventing me from realizing I'm God, I'd be studying that like a Bible. Priorities, folks. Priorities. How well you understand yourself determines how quickly you master your universe. Period. You are that. You are in a battle with your own mind, and the ones that win push past fear and understand their mind and have understood the mirror. Real talk. Okay? All right, guys. Love you. Hope this sits in. Take time. Really dwell on it. And maybe pick up that book by Lise Bourbeau and study it a little more closely. Yes? Because if you haven't figured out your source, start there. I'll give the credit where it's due. Those specifically are the keys to your liberation. That's what my mastermind is learning. But you can self-study. You don't need me. Okay? I just help you make connections that you wouldn't have noticed. So you can take advantage of that, or you can work it out yourself. But at least you have a start that you can use to overcome your human limitation. Yeah? Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Love you so much.